From JA to UK to LA and everywhere else now, this is a podcast strictly influenced by Jamaican music, brought to you by Eric Kohler and Junor Francis. Well, if you're driving in your car or you're sitting home alone, the Junior entertain you on his microphone. History of LA Ska. Yeah, hear stories from a guest while we all have a blast. From LA to Jamaica, it's in the podcast. The history of LA Ska. Of LA Ska, yeah. It's the history. Yes, it is. Of LA Ska. History of LA Ska, yeah. It's the history. Yes, it is. Of LA Ska. Of LA Ska. It's the history of LA Ska. One more time, yeah. It's the history of LA Ska.
Welcome to the History of LA Ska one-on-one sessions. I'm your host, Junor Francis, alongside our producer and my good friend, Eric Kohler. Now, this series celebrates the ska, rocksteady, and vintage reggae scene in Southern California and beyond through insightful conversations with legends and modern-day talent, including those behind the scene. A lot of people working behind the scene, and we thank them. We really and truly thank them. Therefore, whether you listen to this podcast series, watch us on YouTube, many times for your time and your support. Thanks for the love. And please remember to subscribe. That is very important, to tell a friend. In this episode, we welcome Bad Time Records owner, producer, and singer-songwriter, guitarist from Kill Lincoln, Michael Sosinski. Man, Michael, you wear enough hats.
Just a couple hats. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
We have one. Eric, you have so many.
Yeah, Mike, great to meet you. And in our intro, Junior mentioned that we interview people in front of the scenes, behind the scenes. You clearly are both, and we're going to talk about, as Junior also said, both the hats that you wear, many hats. So we appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking me. You guys have had quite an impressive list of guests on the podcast, so I'm quite honored to be asked. So
well, we're very honored and thankful for anyone that we can talk to help sell the and you're clearly one. Really exciting time for you. I don't have to tell you because you know it, you live it, but very exciting time for both Kill Lincoln and for Bad Time Records. So we want to personally learn about both, but also inform our audience for those who may not know, and obviously for those who do know, they'll enjoy this as well. But so let's start with because I know as of right now, and we're talking to you on the latter part of July. But so how are the screenings going for This Is New Tone documentary?
Oh, it's been great. They've been a lot of fun. So far, we've done screenings in Washington, D.C. We did screening Asbury Park, Philly. In California, we did one at 924 Gilman in Berkeley, and then in Orange County, we did one at Chain Reaction.
Yeah.
And they've been super fun. It's watching any movie in a group, as we all found out shortly after the worst of COVID. It's like, actually watching a movie with a bunch of people is really fun. It's really fun, right? So it's been special for me. I've seen the movie so many times, but to watch it with different groups of people is a different experience every time, and it's been great. It's been really fun.
Right.
Wonderful. So is a response to the film thus far what you had hoped and dreamed and anticipated?
That's a great question, but when I was making it, I wasn't really thinking about how it would be perceived. I think if you think about that stuff too much while you're making any creative project, it'll kind of mess with the art a little bit. But I really just hoped that first of all, I hoped that the bands that are in it were well represented. I hope that they felt like they were represented correctly and accurately in the film. And I wanted to make them happy first and foremost. And they all seem happy so far. So of course I wanted people to watch it and have fun while they're watching it, and also kind of learn something about all the people on the label and on this tour that we did. And I think people are getting that. I've been getting a lot of good feedback. So yeah, I mean, is it what I hope? I don't know what I really hoped and dreamed. I hoped and dreamed that it would be done one day. so I'm glad that it's.
And approximately how long it took you?
So I mean, the whole thing from when I had the idea to it being done was about 2 years. We booked the tour, and then I had the idea to do the film, and then it was just pre-production, filming the tour. We filmed all through March, all through June and July. We did a little extra filming in September, and then it was editing. And I edited the film along with, I had some help from my buddy Alec and Becca, his partner, and they did a lot of the live sequences in the movie. It's about 50-50 live sequences and documentary. And I did all the documentary stuff and kind of buttoned it all up. So a lot of editing work after that. So
I was waiting for a phone call to up here, but it never came back.
I missed a lot of important people. I'm sorry.
Maybe the bonus
bonus features. Yeah.
So what's the best way to describe the type and style of documentary that was made?
Yeah, so it's part concert film, but it's also part tour documentary, right? So we're following this Bad Time Records tour, and the three main bands on it were Kill Lincoln, We Are the Union, and Catbite, who are sort of the first three bands on the label, and all have kind of been growing in sort of different ways. And I'd say it's obviously a movie like Dance Craze was an inspiration, because when you think about movies that capture the spirit of ska, especially in the two-tone era, Dance Craze is the film. But also, I feel like I was influenced by what's the LA punk documentary? It was it featured X and God,
I can't think of it, but I know what you're
decline of Western civilization.
Yes.
So what I really liked about that movie is that it was obviously you're seeing the bands play, but before each scene, you're getting to know who they are and where they come from. So that was a big thing for me. So it's a little bit mix of the two, and then it's got a DIY feel. Like I loved there was a Bomb the Music Industry documentary that I really loved, that it kind of has some of that to it. And I think it's a mix of all that stuff.
So you're doing the screenings in select cities right now, with some of the markets have some Q&A and some artists tied to it, right? When and where can the masses, and full transparency, we've not seen it yet. So we are looking forward to it.
I'll send it to you. I'd love for you to see it.
Yeah. No, how do you recommend that people see it?
Yeah, so I'm focusing on the screenings for now, and even though we hit Orange County, but we're still going to hit LA. Nice. We're going to hit a couple other spots. So for the next couple weeks, just trying to do the live thing, because that's really the way I would love people to see it, right?
Yeah.
But then there's going to be there's a Blu-ray, so we'll have it on Blu-ray, and then probably at some point next year it'll be on streaming.
Okay.
Getting a movie on a streaming platform, especially one of the major ones, is such a pain. So, and it's expensive. So
there's a cost. Wow.
Yeah, it's like costs like just to get something on Amazon Prime, it's like you got to pay $3-4 grand to like a distributor. It's like,
wow,
it's crazy. Yeah.
Excuse us too if you see me wave this. We have a that's been bothering us.
Oh no, yeah, you get it.
No, that's I mean, congratulations. It's a huge accomplishment, obviously, to do such a documentary, and super important given given the scene and some of the bands we're going to talk about. But so let's go backwards here for a minute.
Sure.
So what was life like for you pre documentary, pre Bad Time Records, even pre Kill Lincoln? What were you doing in life?
Pre Kill Lincoln. Wow. So I started Kill Lincoln. I started Kill Lincoln when I was in college, but I grew up in New Jersey. So I got it. I was into video games and skateboard culture when I was a young kid. And that, of course, led me to bands like the Mighty Mighty Bosstones, who one of the first records I picked up, a CD, was an X Games compilation, right? So track one was Impression That I Get. And I was hooked. There's a lot of ways I could have gone on that compilation, but I went Bosstones.
For sure. That was a great one.
Yeah. So that was my gateway in. I was playing music when I was younger. I played bass in sort of like a studio band. There was a practice space in New Jersey and Route 9 in Freehold. And they took a bunch of the kids. I was like 13 at the time. They took a bunch of the kids and kind of tried to form a band.
They who
took them? I'm sorry?
They who took them?
Oh yeah, so it was like the some of the instructors at the
Okay.
studio, so they did
Wow.
music lessons. There was one guy in particular who wanted to put like a band together of like kids, and he had us playing like, not like big band stuff, but we were playing like Chicago, we were playing Earth, Wind and Fire, we
Yeah.
were playing we played Brown Eyed Girl, Van Morrison, right? Like we played all kinds of stuff, and I played bass in that band, and I was the singer. But we did that for a little while and we all became friends. But then, that was when I was 13, 14, 15. I'm like, well, you know what? Like we've got this big band, we've got horns. Like I just discovered the Mighty Mighty Bosstones. Like I want to play ska. I want to play ska punk. That's what I want to do. And being in New Jersey, I had bands like Catch 22, who I could go and see, bands like Big Wig, all these great ska punk bands. Bands like Inspector Seven, Bigger Thomas, tons of ska in New Jersey. I got to see bands all the time. And that just made me want to keep playing ska. And I had a band that band, we went from playing covers to
Yeah.
playing ska punk covers to playing our own music, and
Wow.
then went to college, and that's that band fell apart because it was a high school band, and started Kill Lincoln, and yeah, just grinded it out with Kill
Right.
Lincoln for years.
And what was your first earliest memories of meeting or seeing a traditional band? Having mentioned that
Mm.
a lot of American ska band.
Yeah, so like a more traditional ska band. Like for
Include
me,
rocksteady in that too.
sure. Well, the
I
the
even
first
skinhead reggae to include that.
the
Your
first band I think the first band that I ever saw that I wouldn't have considered a ska punk band was the Slackers.
Okay.
And the Slackers were really my gateway into more
Mhm.
traditional ska, right? The Slackers brought me to Hepcat, and Hepcat brought me backwards, and then I learned about Desmond Decker. I learned about Prince Buster. I went back into all that stuff. So it's kind of interesting. I feel like a lot of kids get into ska through ska punk, right?
Sure.
And then they go back.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I briefly I played drums in a rocksteady band in DC, with Kaz Gardner and Bill Wade, Kaz from the Checker Cabs.
Yeah.
And that was probably like my real dive into the deep end of rocksteady. Like, because I knew how to play some traditional ska beats, but they were like, oh no, we're gonna play these songs. And I was like,
And
okay.
whatever was that? What time period?
That was that was like 2013, 2014. I mean, it's
Right.
early 2010s.
And
Yeah.
were you filling in that instance, or was it
Well,
just
no, I was the drummer for like 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, don't ask me what the set list was though, because I feel like it's a foggy memory, but
right?
yeah, we played a good mix of stuff and a bunch of original tunes. But yeah, that was in the middle of all my Kill Lincoln and
Yeah.
ska punking.
So now on the Kill Lincoln,
Yeah, yeah,
it was during college when you formed.
yeah, yeah.
When Kill Lincoln came about.
Yeah, well, I had a bunch of songs, I've just been writing songs after my high school band fell apart, and I had all these tunes, and it was about, I went to college in DC, and I was just trying to meet new people. I didn't have a band just because I didn't know who to start a band with. And finally met a trombone player who named Matt Hotez, and he was the first person I met on my campus that even knew what ska or ska punk was. And it turned out he was this great, prolific trombone player and a great guitar player.
Mhm.
We liked all the same bands. We liked not just ska, but we liked punk and metal and hardcore, and we liked to mix it all together. And yeah, meeting him was really like what spawned Kill Lincoln. And then found our drummer, Tyler Rogers, actually through a message board, ska message board. And yeah, then we were off, and we just gigged as much as we could around DC.
And this is what year now?
We started, the first Kill Lincoln show was in the end of 2007.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. I recently well, it's in the film, but I found video footage of that first Kill Lincoln show, and I threw like a couple seconds of it in the movie. It's very, very embarrassing. So
Wait, so how many original or early on members are still in Killing?
just two.
Just two. Okay.
Yeah, it's me and Tyler are the only original members. But you know, our sax player Matt Ellis, he joined only a couple of years after we started, maybe 2010, something like that. And he's still in the band. He's now one of the primary songwriters. Yeah, but some of the other guys are new. CJ, bass player, and Ume, trombone player, relatively new. You know, they've been in the band since about 2017, 18. Although CJ's been filling in on bass with us for a long time. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So with democracy diminishing in America and freedom of speech, isn't there a danger in the name Kill Lincoln?
I hear you, man. We get it. We used to get it a lot more, but we get it all the
Really?
time. People are, well, we used to get at shows, people are like, what's your problem with Lincoln?
Oh,
You don't like Lincoln? And it's like, hey, he's been dead for a long time. But it's a reference to the movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Right.
That was the rival high school. They wore the Kill Lincoln shirts. But yeah, we get, you know, actually they block our they actively block our reach on social media.
You see what I mean?
If you go and search for Kill Lincoln, it asks, "Are you okay? You sure you want to kill Lincoln?" So that's the thing that happens. But
and you also have to make sure that you have no affiliation with Bill O'Reilly's Killing.
Oh yeah. Oh, trust me. I've come across that more times than I care to. Yeah.
Even though it started out as a joke, I knew there was some danger involved.
Yeah, there's a little bit of there's always been a little bit of weirdness with the name.
Right.
But
So what are some career highlights from the band standpoint? You've worked with a number of bands.
yeah, I mean for Kill Lincoln,
Yeah.
for Kill Lincoln, I mean, we've done so many things mostly in the past couple of years that I never thought we would get to do. You know, I'm wearing my Tokyo Ska Paradise shirt. Last fall, Tokyo Ska Paradise and Haysmith invited us and our friends Catbite out to Japan. Every year they do a show called the Ska Ramble where
That's highlight.
they invited. So, you know, us and Catbite, we got to, first of all, just to get to see Tokyo Ska Paradise is amazing, right? But they invited us out and they were so kind and so just so wonderful to us. And we got to play 4 shows with them. The first show, it was in Tokyo, and it's this like 4,000 like person room, and it's packed. From the minute doors open, it's packed. And I never had an experience like that in my life where I just, you know, I just got dropped down in Tokyo, walk on stage to 4,000 people. And not only are they there, but they're all excited and like supportive. It was absolutely unreal. It was an unbelievable experience.
That's incredible. Was that your first time in Japan?
It was our second time. So the first time we went in 2019, and we did more of like a DIY tour, and that was amazing, right? That was absolutely incredible with our friends Free Kick and SMN, 2 great ska punk bands from Japan, and they showed us a great time. So we were like, how can it be better than that?
Right.
And it was pretty incredible. It's hard to compete with.
And what kind of crowd you performed in front of?
At both tours, or
numbers?
Yeah, I think like that first tour, it was smaller venues, so it was like, you know, 150, 200 cap rooms, and which was great. You know, it's something that we're used to. It's incredible, and you're in Japan, and everyone's excited, and they're even like singing along, which is crazy. Yeah, and I think it's just, you know, I don't know, those crowds are very appreciative and very kind, and yeah, to go and do that and be happy, then to get to, you know, these
4,000 right
arenas, yeah, it was pretty incredible. Yeah,
that's amazing. Well, so what about any other festival highlights over the years, or opening slots?
Yeah, I mean, Kill Lincoln honestly doesn't get a ton of those, or we never used to. You know, we've been able to play, you know, a bunch of cool festivals. Like we've played the Fest. We were supposed to play Supernova, but of course, I got COVID right when it was happening.
Right. So they're
And
bringing
then
it back this year?
no, not this year, but I'm hopeful for next year. We'll make it happen
Right.
one year. Supernova is incredible. But yeah, we've had some, you know, we just played this great Denver Ska Fest
Oh, yeah, yes.
a couple months ago, weeks ago, I guess. That was incredible. That was a great lineup. It was, you know, Five Iron Frenzy and
Yeah, that
Goldfinger, and yeah, so that was really great. Yeah, we've shared some really great bills, and yeah,
and more
still a lot to come.
highlights ahead, so to speak.
Yes, I hope so. Yeah.
Talking about Bad Time Records,
Mhm.
when did you start the label? And outside of maybe your own Kill Lincoln, what were the first groups for you to work with?
Yeah, I started it in 2018, basically just because I wanted to do a vinyl pressing of a Kill Lincoln EP that we did. You know, we released a record in 2015. It didn't really get a full release, so I was like, oh, I want to put it on vinyl. Why don't I start something? And from all the touring that Kill Lincoln did, I knew tons of bands. I mean, I was good friends with so many. You know, you go on these DIY tours, you help a band out in your city, they help you out in theirs, and you're like instant friends, right?
One hand wash the other.
Yes.
Yeah, but you're friends for life. So that's sort of like, that's where this first kind of group of Bad Time bands came from. And the first couple bands on the label were bands like We Are the Union, originally from Detroit, but now they're kind of LA based. Catbite. So I knew Catbite. So Tim was in a band called the Snails, which is more of traditional leaning ska band
Right.
in Philly. And
Actually, when he and Brett we talked with them sometime last year.
oh, cool.
Briefly, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Snails played my wedding. So, I mean, I just love them, and I love Tim, and it just made sense. It was a cool pairing. But we used to play a lot, you know, because DC and Philly are close, and there really weren't many ska punk bands or ska bands that wanted to play with Kill Lincoln, you know.
Sure.
So it was we were always going up to Philly or going to play in New Jersey or having the Snails come down to DC. We did a lot of fun shows together. So when I heard that Tim was starting a new band, it was sort of like a no-brainer. I think he sent me their Selector cover, and I was like, yeah, this is awesome. I'm in.
Yeah.
So Catbite was one of the first bands on the label, and then bands like the Best of the Worst, Joystick, bands who have been around on the, you know, for a long time, kind of doing on the same path as Kill Lincoln, that just didn't have a label, you know, just didn't have a good spot, you know, for whatever reason, and it felt like there was an opportunity to, you know, create a platform for my friends.
And is the do you feel like your initial plans and vision for Bad Time, how has it changed or evolved over time, right? So you had this initial idea, and then you are now.
It's a good question. I mean, every single day, like, maybe this sounds cliche, but like I'm literally learning something new about this whole experience every day. Like when I started it, I didn't know how to run a label. I had no idea. There's no book. Well, there's a couple good books that I've since read, but there's no like, hey, here's how you do it.
Let's learn it to go.
Yeah, just kind of stumbling through it. So yeah, you know, learning new things about I learned a lot about vinyl and vinyl production, you know, and how to store vinyl and how to ship vinyl and how not to mess it up and
how to be
when it sounds best.
How to be patient while it gets pressed.
How to be very patient. Yeah, when we were on like 1 year turnaround for vinyl, it was crazy.
Yeah. So what is the average, just as a sidebar, what's the average turnaround now?
It's so much faster. Oh my God. I mean, it depends on, you know, I use a couple different people, but you know, you can have vinyl in like two months if you want, which is crazy. Sometimes I'll put an order in and I'll get the test pressing like the next week, which is crazy.
Okay, so, yeah, I need to get a list because I've been asked so many times, and a lot of people are in the dark as to where to get record suppressed, literally in the dark.
Yeah, there's a lot of plans. I think what happened during the pandemic too, there was such a boom. And the wait times were so long that so many,
Yeah.
I don't know if like a couple of new plants have opened, but like
Nice.
really, I don't know, something happened. There's definitely more options than there used to be.
Yeah.
Even 5 years ago when I started doing it.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know what the biggest thing that's changed is. I think I keep trying to refine, you know, how I release music, how I promote music, you know, timing, things like schedules, marketing, all this
Right.
stuff. It's all been changing. You know, everything with quantities, how much I press, how little I press, you know, it's like, you know, I've been burned a couple times by pressing way more than I
Yeah.
needed. And now I've
Right.
got, you know, 2,000 copies of certain things in my basement. But, you know, I think you got to learn that stuff as you're going. So
Did you draw any inspiration from two-tone labels, Asian Man, Moon Man, or Hellcat?
yeah, 1,000%.
Drum up, Hellcat. I mean, we can go on like obviously
Yeah, Hellcat.
they're all
Yep.
different types, right? But
Yep.
did any of them, or maybe even outside of the ska genre, any of them you look to and say like, you know, I love what they did or what they were about?
Island.
Yeah.
G.
Well, the one, I mean, the big label that I was into, you know, when I was getting into ska was Asian Man. I mean, you
Right
know,
on.
I loved the Blue Meanies. I loved Skank and Pickle. I loved MU330. I loved the Bruce Lee Band. I was just, that was my label. So yeah, when I started this, I really thought about Asian Man. I was like, you know, if one guy in his garage can do this, like, hey, I'm a guy with a garage, like I can do it too, right? So,
Right.
and it always spoke to me how, you know, whenever I'd order something from Asian Man, it always felt personal. You know, I felt like I was, you know, getting it from Mike Park himself, and there was always, you know, extra stickers and maybe throwing an extra CD or something. That kind of stuff was always important to me. So I try to kind of pass that on. A little bit.
And so speaking of Mike Park, the you collaborated right on the against racism.
Yes. Yep.
Talk about that. Talk about that compilation and how that came about.
Yeah. So that was a collaboration between me, Mike Park, and Phil, who runs Ska Punk Daily on Instagram. Yeah, I mean, 2020, we were going through some pretty dark times politically, and just for a lot of reasons. And you know, it was, I think Phil had been asking Mike Park to redo Ska Against Racism. Like he said, hey, like you should do a comp, you should do a tour, you should do something, right? And Mike was like, well, that sounds great, but I think it's too much for me to do on my own.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I earned this, but they decided to loop me in. and I think
your
at first,
label was just a couple of years in at that
it's
point.
only a couple of years old. Yeah, I started in 2018. I had maybe, you know, I think I actually had, yeah, something like 15 releases under my belt. So not a ton of experience, but yeah, Mike wanted to do a digital comp, and we wanted to get, you know, new tracks from all these bands. Phil had this wish list of bands that included so many great bands. But I said, hey, well, like, if you guys want to do the vinyl, I'll handle it. I'll press it. I'll do the distribution, and which Mike was very worried about, because he was like, hey, like 1,000 records, like they're gonna sell out, like, and in COVID, you're not gonna have any help. Like you're gonna have to ship all this out. And I said, yeah, whatever, I'll do it. So, so that's what we did, and yeah, I sort of handled getting some of the newer bands, you know, quote unquote, from Bad Time involved in the comp, and Phil and Mike went and got some of the, you know, some of the other bands that were in there, and yeah, combined, it just made kind of an incredible list. And I couldn't believe that everybody was able to contribute new music to it. I think that was one of the most impressive.
Everyone did contribute brand new recordings.
Yeah, some of them were like you know, reused from different things, but a lot of it. So I don't want to say 100% new, because I haven't gone through the track listing in a while, but it was a lot of new music, and a lot of the music was, you know, politically on point. It was speaking to the time, which was also really important. So
very important.
Yes.
yeah.
So it was digital format as well as vinyl.
Mhm.
How many vinyl ended up being pressed?
Well, we did 1,000 the first pressing, and it sold out in a second. It was literally, it was minutes.
And is it profitable to press 1,000 from
Well,
an economic standpoint?
yeah. So, well, we donated every single cent that was made.
Oh.
So it did really well because it was a double LP.
Mhm.
I think we charged $30 or something for it, and yeah, we wound up raising somewhere between $70,000 and $80,000
Of course, that's profitable.
for a variety of Black Lives Matter charities and
Yes.
groups. But so we did that first pressing 1,000, and then we were going to cap it there, and I literally had to ask my wife. I said, "Should we do more?" And I said, "Like, you're going to have to help me ship them." And she said, "Yeah, let's do it." Yeah, I always say people have to thank my wife if they got a second round of those copies, because yeah.
Yes.
So how are the deals, and I'm not looking for financial type of deals, but
Oh,
are
sure.
the types of relationships and types of deals that you do with the bands signed to Bad Time,
Mhm.
do they differ? Like, for instance, do they come to you with, hey, here's finished product, or some of them more collaborative and looking for producers that you might help with? What dive a little deeper, if you would, on the type of label that Bad Time is.
Yeah, I mean, it runs the gamut, really, so I've definitely had bands sort of send me, "Hey, we have this finished record. Like, do you like it?" And if I like it and I kind of know the people
Right.
involved, that's important to me, and it's become more and more important to me as the label grows, that you really work with people that I know and kind of get along with, right? Which I think anybody can attest to who runs, works in music or works with label, right? But yeah, so sometimes they'll have finished product, but there are, especially bands that I'm sort of more familiar with, they'll come to me and say, "Hey, like, we're working on this, you know, do you have an idea for where we could record it? Do you know who could produce it?" That comes up. Yeah, it's been all kinds. We've
Mhm.
done it all ways. Yeah, I actually also have a side label for things that are not ska, right? So I wanted to put out a couple more just punk releases. And that band, the band that I'm putting out a record for now, Hell Beach, they came to me and they said, "Hey, we're recording. Who do you think could produce this?" And I said, "Well, how about Reed from We Are the Union? Because she is a great producer, makes great records, and really fits their style." So kind of put them together more recently. So yeah, it's I've done it all ways.
Reed working with them on the hills of the Half Past Two, and
Yeah, exactly.
which is a solid one, and that leads us to our next question too.
So when did you actually notice that the label was getting a lot of traction?
Mm.
Uh, what uh, was it prior to Scare Against Racism compilation or thereafter?
It was that whole spring into summer, because I had
Of 2020.
yeah, of 2020, because I had my band's record. So the Kill Lincoln full length album, which we hadn't done one in a long time. So
Right.
that came out in 2020. And that did really well right off the bat, which shocked me because I didn't expect it to do well. And then we had Ska Against Racism. And then we had Bad Operation, who are absolutely fantastic band from New Orleans. If anybody listens, not familiar, who really kind of picked up the two-tone aesthetic and sound and really kind of
Yeah.
mixed it with a little bit of that New Orleans punk. But yeah, those three releases sort of together were all just boom, 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 boom. That's when we, Andrew Satcher at Brooklyn Vegan wrote a very nice and very long write-up, sort of like diving into the ska underground. And that was an article that got shared a lot. And he really did the work, and he really talked to a lot of people and wrote a very thorough article there. So I think that helped. And we wound up getting a write-up in Spin magazine. They featured Bad Operation and talked about Ska Against Racism, and a bunch of that press started kind of coming in, which was very shocking.
But good is
Right.
necessary.
Very good, but good. Yeah. And
Yes.
since and that, and going into the next year, we had a new album from We Are the Union, Ordinary Life came out, and Catbite's sophomore album, Nice One, came out. So all that stuff just kind of was building on it. We did a split release with Suicide Machines and Coquettish, a band from Japan. All this stuff was just building, and yeah, it was, as soon as I, needed to order 2,000 of something, I was like, yeah, this is this is
Right.
How do you go about the distribution?
Yeah. So I mean,
Right.
yeah, so everything on the website, I fulfill myself, right? So everything that's direct DTC, like I just do that. But I also, Mike Park hooked me up with a great distributor that puts our stuff into stores, physical records into stores. I do all
That's
the
very necessary.
Yeah, that was a huge revelation. I think it was right.
Yes.
It was right around the time of Ska Against Racism when we started talking a lot, and he was like, "Hey, who's your distributor?" And I said,
Mm.
I don't have one. He said, well, I'll hook you up with somebody. And,
Oh, that's cool.
and they've been great. So yeah, I still get that like childlike excitement when I see one of our records in a store.
I'll be hitting up you to get some of those connections.
Yeah, please.
I have some friends who do have music there, but have absolutely positively no idea how to get it.
Well, I had no idea. I mean, I really had no idea. I mean, I would Google, distribution. How do I get my record into stores? You try to do your research, but unless you really know or you really talk to people, I mean, that's what changed everything for me. Talking to somebody like Mike Park, who's been doing it for 30 years, or well, not 30 years yet, but close. Yeah, just learning.
And the good thing is you have more control as opposed to streaming. You have no control over streaming.
Yeah, exactly. Streaming is just like you throw it into the it into the void and
that's a lot of
your fingers.
But it is necessary. It is necessary.
Yeah,
but a lot of people are moving away from that now when they can. Some big artists are.
Yeah. I mean, especially
accountability.
Yep, exactly.
Extremely sad.
Yeah. So Mike, how many bands would you say are signed to Bad Time?
I always hate the term signed because a lot of it. No, it's fair.
How many releases have you put out?
So I'm about to put out BTR 62. So we're at 62 releases over 5. Well, now it's 6 years. So, and they're all, every single one of those is a physical release. So that was one of the things I wanted to do when I started Bad Time. It was all these bands deserve, good like physical releases, like vinyl records. Or I've only done one release that was only on CD, and I wish I had done vinyl for it.
But it's not late, right?
What's that?
It's not late.
Oh, you mean it's not too late to go back and
right.
Yeah. No, it is, because I don't know. I would probably lose a bunch of money on it, but but one day, it was for my friends from Japan, Free Kick. I wound up just putting out a CD for them. But yeah, so those are all physical releases. So yes, it'll be 62 is the next one coming up.
And you recently, I shouldn't say expanded, but I'll use that term for lack of a better one. To release and work with two bands that we're very familiar with. They're from SoCal. Really popular Latin ska outfit, Matamoska. We've had the pleasure of talking with some of those guys, and obviously Half Past Two from Orange County here. Just sticking on those two incredible groups.
Yeah.
What did you see about both of those, or in both of those, to want to release their music?
Well, Matamoska was a no-brainer because I've known Esteban for a long time. I mean, I think it's impossible to play in the ska scene and not come across Esteban.
He's in a lot of groups, right?
Yeah, and I tried to count in the Bad Time Records catalog. Esteban is on something like, he plays on maybe 20 of the releases. It's crazy. He's on Catbite, he's on Omnigon, he's all over the catalog.
Right.
And Kill Lincoln played with Matamoska. We played it was in Orange County. It was Skamicon. It was a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Sure.
It was, and that was my first time seeing them, and I was absolutely blown away. Yeah, such a good band. So that was a no-brainer. And that record, I mean, Esteban, I don't know if he's told you the story on this podcast, but he it's a record that they completed like 3-4 years ago, and then
Okay.
he got his backpack and hard drive stolen.
I've heard him tell this story. Yes.
Yes.
All right, now it makes sense. Yeah.
So it took years to, like, we agreed to do that record years ago. I thought it was coming out in 2019. So,
Wow, that's crazy.
so it's a long time coming to work with Madame Ska. And
Yeah.
and they're all fantastic. But yeah, I love Esteban.
Yeah, we've spoken with Jose Padilla from the group.
Oh, awesome.
So great.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we would agree with all those accolades. Yeah. And then so what about Half Past Two?
Yeah, Half Past Two is a band that was, on my radar for a long time because, again, Kill Lincoln would play with them in Orange County. I'd see them on the internet. We had a lot of mutual friends. I'll be honest, because I've been honest about the band to the band to their face. Like, I wasn't a huge fan of their earlier catalog. I love ska punk, but I think it's like an East Coast thing in me where I really like the more edgy, sort of like rougher sort of edge of ska punk. If you listen to like a Catch-22, it's sort of like a manic, just craziness of ska punk. But so with Half Past Two, like, good band. I thought they were a great live band. The songs I thought were just a little too poppy for me, and but when they sent me this new record, and I could tell they were like excited to share it with me, and I could tell why as soon as I listened to it. I was just sort of like, yeah, again, just like a light bulb moment. Like, holy shit, they really put the work in, and they made something really special. And
Reed from We Are the Union worked with them on that.
Yeah, Reed produced that and co-wrote a lot of the songs, and yeah, it still sounds like Half Past Two because it's got that like Orange County sound, that Orange County pop punk ska sound, but it was way more mature. For my liking, it had a little bit of a more of an edge to it. The lyrical themes are somewhat
I would say
serious
more
and dark,
and more of a mature sound. And we recently
yeah.
with them as well, and they you were spot on. They were extremely excited to share it with you. They shared. But yeah, no, I would agree with all that as well. I mean, super solid release there.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was going to ask one more question. What international bands, meaning from overseas, if any, have you worked with?
Yeah, so just this year, put out an LP from a band called Call Me Malcolm from the UK. They're absolutely incredible ska, prog, punk band. They do so many things so well. Excellent record. And then I just did the official US release of Hey Smith from Japan's latest record. So I did the vinyl for that. And yeah, I've worked with a band called Abracadabra from Brazil, who are a really super fun band.
Yeah, right.
And amazing live band. Yeah, I've been lucky to work with a couple. I met Free Kick and SMN from Japan. I'm sure I'm forgetting a couple, but yeah, it's hard to work on international releases. It's tough. If you
What are
can't
some
have
of the challenges you face with international release?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, just the getting on the phone and having a call with a time difference is hard, right? And then, I know the US market, and I don't have great distribution in other markets. So when I work with an international band, I'm trying to expand their reach here, right?
Right.
And that's hard when they can't come over and tour as much.
Because of visa problem, essentially.
Visa problems, all kinds of. Call Me Malcolm was supposed to come and tour in May, and they got held up with visa problems, and they got turned around. They were held at the airport. They were detained for 10 hours, and they got turned around. Just ridiculous. And what it costs to bring a band. I mean, it's
right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's tough. But some bands are just if they're willing to work through the challenges, it's been.
And a lot of times you don't have a choice, huh?
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Yes. So what does the rest of 2024 look like for Kill Lincoln and Bad Time Records?
Yeah, so
this is the 8th month, right?
Yeah, so
almost 8?
Almost. So we're end of July here. We got it. there's a new record from Omnigon coming out. So Omnigon is Adam Davis up in the East Bay.
Shout out to
Um,
Adam.
yeah, so Omnigon records coming out. They're crazy prolific.
Single or EP or full length?
Full length. Yeah, we've been doing a couple singles, and yeah, they got a full length coming out. It's out on Friday on digital platforms, and
Nice.
I've been shipping the vinyl all week, so that's what's been going out. And we've got, really focused on these movie premieres and promoting the movie. And there is one more release coming. It's announced next Friday, so I don't really want to spoil it right now, but
We'll
it's
share
a
it.
big
We'll
one and very
share it
relevant
about-
to our
We'll share it
conversation.
Understood.
Thank you. But for Kill Lincoln, we've got a ton of shows. We're touring all through September, October. We're supporting
US?
Suicide Machines. Yeah,
Oh, that's right.
all US. So
Yep.
we're supporting Suicide Machines and Haysmith throughout the East Coast and Midwest, and then in October we're supporting Less Than Jake on the West Coast. So we're going from Tacoma all the way down the coast to San Diego. So we've got shows in California. We're playing in Sacramento, Santa Cruz, Ventura, San Diego, and then we end the tour in I think Mesa and Vegas. So
You're deliberately skipping Los Angeles.
No,
yeah,
let's see.
it wasn't up to me. I
Yeah.
would have loved to play Los Angeles,
Right,
but
right.
We'll have to meet in person next time.
yeah.
Well, that's exciting. I mean, you keep busy. Is it really tough to balance? I mean, clearly, then when you're on the road, you can't be maybe goofing off as much as or
totally.
doing whatever you want, right? You have another job to do, right? So
Yeah, and I've had to get really good at building the bad time. Yeah, well, building the bad time schedule around, or like the shipping schedule around when I'm not going to be
sure.
home. So actually, these tours we've got in September, October, there's only one record that'll be on the line for shipping, and that's my record. So I can kind of work around it.
Right.
But yeah, when I'm on the road, it's a lot of, it's just trying to keep things moving, keep production moving, keep the bands, keep their marketing going and all that stuff. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to juggle, but feel lucky to do it at all. So
Talking about the healthiness of the ska scene. So since, let's go back to when Kill Lincoln was formed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, how have you seen it evolve over time?
Oh God, it's crazy. It's crazy how much it's changed. And we talk, this is to bring it back to the movie, I think this is one of the things we really touch on in the movie, because we talked to a lot of people who were really, around or in the DIY trenches of ska punk in the late 2000s and early 2010s. There's a line from Greg Rodriguez from Bad Operation, who runs Community Records, where he says, I can go up to somebody now and hand them a flyer for a ska show, and they go, "Sick, cool, I'll see you there." But 8 years ago, that's not what they would say.
What is ska?
They were just, they'd say, "What is ska?" Or "Oh, what is that? Real Big Fish." And I love Real Big Fish, but that's what people would say. Like that's what they compare it to. That was their reference. But anyway, I think there's more ska bands period. More ska bands, more ska punk bands. There's more opportunities. There's things like Supernova Ska Festival. Yeah. There are a bunch of great DIY labels and labels that are, not ska focused, but are taking a chance on ska bands. There's a label called Wiretap who's worked with a bunch of it's like SoCal ska punk bands, codename Rocky, bands like that.
Right.
So yeah, and we play shows, and for years, for a decade, we played shows to maybe 10 people, 10, 20 people. We tour, and it's like 10 people, that's a great night, great, 10 people and some beers. Yeah.
That number triples, right?
Yeah. And but now it's like it's tripled, it's all over the place. So that's incredible.
And a lot of that has even been post-COVID, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So the tour that we followed in the film, that was really, like, I feel like the first spring and summer after the worst of COVID, where people really felt good to come out again, and you see it, like people are really having the time of their lives. And
so do you think your CEO is open to it's a serious question. open to work with some reggae artists or traditional?
I love traditional ska and reggae. I really do. I feel like it's not my expertise, which is why I don't feel always empowered to approach those bands to work with. But
If you're approached, you would be open.
yeah, and there's a couple bands that we were close to doing something and it didn't quite
Oh,
happen. But yeah, I mean, I love traditional ska. Yeah, I mean, it's funny in the Kill Lincoln van, like that's pretty much what we listen to. We don't want to listen to ska punk all the time. We're listening to reggae, traditional ska, and dub. We were at that Denver Ska Fest. There was a great pre-show. I forget the name of the band. They're a great local traditional ska band from Denver. Not the Dendrites, another band. And we were at that show. We were having such a great time. Chris Murray headlined it,
Nice.
and that was like, yeah, that's our stuff. We love that. Drew from Kill Lincoln has a great line in the movie. He says his favorite type. People ask him, "Do you like ska punk or do you like traditional ska?" And he says his favorite type of ska is live ska. He just loves live ska. That's what he wants, and that's I feel that.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm always
we
open to it.
remind fans all the time, like you have to get out. It's great, and clearly we want fans to buy the music, but to keep promoters, right? If you want promoters and venues to keep booking and taking a chance, right, and being at risk and bringing in ska bands, or whether it's the new generation of ska or some of the legends that we've had the pleasure of working with, you got to get out and support the live shows.
Yep,
You
100%.
you really do, or else the promoters are not going to bring them.
Yeah.
So no, I agree with you for sure.
Yeah, and my question wasn't just empty or random. I do know some people who are looking for opportunities. That's why I asked.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always open to it. Yeah, easy answer.
Because marketing is the key. Once
Yeah,
you get down to a science,
yeah,
it's all in place.
it is tough, and I feel like that's the thing that's always changing. It's like how do you keep reaching new people? But yeah, it's something I'm still working on, so I'm gonna keep working on it.
Is there anything that we've not touched on? Obviously, I know that we just kind of skimmed the surface, if you will. But whether it be about Kill Lincoln, Bad Time, the documentary, we encourage everyone to go out there and see the documentary, and obviously support all your endeavors. But anything that you definitely want to make sure that fans and listeners have know about you?
No, I mean, I think you guys, thanks for the great questions. And I think you kind of, you just summed up one of the biggest things I want people to get out of this film is that like the live music experience is so important. And I don't care what kind of music it is, because people are working hard and struggling. It doesn't have to be ska punk. Hopefully it's ska, but go see live music. Go
And where
support.
can people see your projects? Yeah, I know them.
Yeah.
Where are they available?
Yeah. So if you go to badtimerecords.com, you'll be able to see all the releases. So I've got all the vinyl for sale. There's streaming links. You can, I've got a YouTube channel with videos from almost every band. For Kill Lincoln, killlincoln.com. We've got all our tour dates. And we'll have some exciting news soon. Wink, wink. Yeah, that's, and on the social media, I'm pretty active on like Instagram. I don't use Twitter, X, whatever it is. I've had enough of that platform. So you can find me there, and yeah.
Yeah, no, the website is very comprehensive, and congratulations.
Repeat it again.
Cool. It's badtimerecords.com. Badtimerecords.com.
For the benefit of those who didn't catch it.
Yeah, of course.
You don't have to hit the rewind button.
Yeah.
Is there anyone, this is specific to Bad Time? It sounded like you got some really good advice, and Mike Park has been helpful and an advocate over time. Any other folks that you want to specifically call out or thank for their support over the years that maybe you previously? And that's sorry to put you on the spot, but just curious.
No, I mean, the first people that come to mind are honestly the people, maybe not from over the years, but the people who helped make this movie.
Yes.
I have to shout out Ray Mystic, who is from Los Angeles, who did an absolutely incredible job as the director of photography. I mentioned Alec and Becca, who are from the Maryland area who helped do a lot of the editing. Brandon Benson, who is in We Are the Union, he mixed a lot of the audio in the movie. Rick Johnson up in Detroit, he mixed all of the live audio in the movie.
A lot of people are involved, man.
A lot of people involved. Yeah. And G. Leonardo, who is also from LA, shot a lot of the movie.
Yes.
Yeah. So it really, people from all over, and really came together to make this thing happen. And yeah, I appreciate all of them.
Documentaries obviously are not the easiest to make for numerous reasons, and there are more of them who have not yet, or rather have been filmed and maybe are in production or editing, but have not been released. But anything that you learn that you can give to the advice to those who are trying to get theirs out or thinking about making a documentary?
Yeah, give yourself more time than you think. In all things, give yourself more time, give yourself more budget. You're going to go over all of those things.
Yeah.
And
Budget, right? Budget is
budget's a big one. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah. So
Yeah.
please go see the movie.
yeah.
Can't say it enough. Well,
Yeah.
I think we just about reached our destination. Eh?
Yeah, Mike,
Fantastic.
it's really been great meeting you virtually, and we will make this happen in person at some point.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah, but big congratulations to you and all the success of Kill Lincoln and Bad Time and
Keep up the good work.
the documentary. Who coined the term new tone?
That's D-Ray from Bad Operation. That's a Bad Operation term. He talks a little bit about it.
Okay, all right, we won't give that away.
No, it's okay. But thank you guys. Thank you for having me on, and I really do appreciate it. And It's very nice to meet both of you.
It takes more than a village to do what we can to help push the music.
Make sure make sure the village has some money in that.
Yes, it always helps. It never hurts.
Yeah. Yes, I think I want to say thanks to everyone for the ongoing support, and please subscribe to this podcast series and our YouTube channel. Follow at History of LA on Instagram and join our Facebook group. This series is produced by the Rockery Radio, more specifically, Mr. Kohler, my good friend here, Eric.
And Junior, I want to thank you for all of your efforts. And Michael, again, thank you. And we appreciate everyone's ongoing support and love here. I'll leave you with this. Please do your part to celebrate and preserve the scene, and come out, put on your dancing shoes, and enjoy yourself. So until next time, much love and be well. Michael, Junior.
Yes, indeed.
Everyone, take care.
Thank you, guys.
Bye now.